Hello and welcome, everyone. Wonderful to have you join us for a live KabU Q&A with senior instructor Tony Kosinec. Tony, hi, great to see you. Great to be with you. If you want to ask Tony a question, just type it in the chat, and we have our tech team that are collecting those questions. We'll ask them here. Also, if you want to share where you're viewing from today, then post that in the chat as well, and I'll announce those locations a little bit into the broadcast. So, Tony, great to be back with you again today.
Yeah, I would have said hi earlier, except my mouse ran away to some other screen and I couldn't click on it. Hi, Mary. Good to see you too.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. This is just a general Q&A about Kabbalah. The people who watch this are, well, you. You may be a student that's already studying, or maybe you're somebody who just saw this announcement posted and decided to check it out of curiosity, or maybe out of a need. So let me tell you first what Kabbalah is in general. Kabbalah answers the question about the meaning and the purpose of our lives, and it's a methodology that gives us the means to fulfill our purpose, to fulfill life, to understand where we are, why we're here, what is the meaning of my life, or the purpose of my life is not the same question as what should my occupation be? Who will my mate be? You know, what is my personal destiny in the material world? It's a profound question. It's a much deeper question. It's the one that's at the bottom of the question, what is this emptiness that I feel all the time? What am I aiming towards? What is it that I'm actually longing for? Kabbalah's answer is that we're aware of our existence. So what does that mean? It means that we feel ourselves as a created being. And in us, there is something engraved that makes us want to know that thing, that force that created us. It's embedded in us in the manner in which we were created. And it was prepared by what created us in order to initiate this kind of a search. Now that leaves a person with two feelings. They're contrasting feelings. One is that we feel that our life, we feel our existence as a completely unique being, cut off from everything else. We feel that the force of the body somehow separates each part and locks us into a personal existence. And Kabbalah tells us that we don't understand that that's actually the whole entire single soul that exists in creation, though we feel it as though we're a separated part. We have a flaw in our perception, an intended flaw. And the other feeling that we have that contrasts with it is that we believe that somehow we truly are connected to this wholeness that we sense, but either we cannot feel it, or if we do feel it even for an instant or so, we can't hold on to it and we don't know how to get back to it, and maybe it's not real. Well, the wisdom says that there is just one soul in the world. There was only one thing that was created. And that spark exists inside of each and every one. That is the part in us that feels that it wants to reconnect to that entire whole, and feels that by doing that, by understanding feeling and living that as a reality, it will also open us to the larger reality in which we come in contact and begin to know and live in relationship with that force that created us. That phenomena of many parts and pieces is a trait of our corporeal perception. Kabbalah also tells us, what is this corporeal perception? What is this quality within us that makes us see everything is broken? And it tells us that we were created as what Kabbalah calls the will to receive. Our concern is for our personal fulfillment regardless of any larger system, and usually at the expense, in our intention, of the larger system. It's our care for our physical existence, but it's more than that. We desire to be fulfilled on a material level according to a way of seeing ourselves that comes directly from this will to receive. This matter, this corporeal perception, comes because we were created in this nature, and that our creator, the thing that emanated us, is a completely opposite quality. In order for us to be able to feel that wholeness, that we actually are this one creature in relation with the creator, we have to rise to a level where we can feel the intention of the creator. And what is that intention? Kabbalah tells us it is the opposite intention, the will to bestow. So Kabbalah explains the meaning of our life by first showing us and letting us experience what we are, what the upper force is, and then it teaches us a methodology of how to rise from one nature to the higher nature that created us and to live in a complete perception of reality and in a world that is completely good. Now, that is the overview. There's many, many details, and the details unfold over a person's entire lifetime. And that's what Kabbalah teaches us to master. The laws of nature, the rules of the game, and the way to fulfill the real meaning of our lives, which is to be in connection with wholeness and the upper force. So let's see what questions you have about it. Mary?
Okay, thank you, Tony. First off, we have questions about the physical from Reza viewing on YouTube. Can we view physical death as a pathway to absolute freedom, liberating ourselves from the limitations of time, space, and experiencing a form of freedom that we can currently only imagine in our minds?
No. Unless we desire, work on, and dedicate our lives to escaping the form of life we have now, which is actually death, unless we're dedicated to revealing those things in the way that we live now, death will only bring us back to the starting point until we develop the desire to work on it in a conscious way. The death that you're describing is an unconscious passage through the general structure that nature has created. It won't open anything up for us. The only thing that happens is that there's a momentary loss of the awareness of individuality, which may last only a fraction of a second, and then we're returned to fulfill our purpose. There is no real separation between life and life. Freedom is not death. The work that we do overcomes this perception of that we call death. Death arises out of the perception of the will to receive and is not real. We are one whole being, like the unique whole being that is the general law of the universe. We are like it, and we have to learn how we can be like it. In that, we achieve freedom, a higher perception, and a connection to the spiritual level while we're still even living in this world. because this world itself is a misrepresentation according to our perception of the place that we're actually at. We already live in a place that's unbounded, completely interwoven and connected, good and responsible for everything in the same way that nature is. Involuntary death will not take us to that place. The engagement in life, the pursuit of learning the laws, learning to act, to know and to act like the upper force, that allows us to enter the wholeness, the completeness, and the limitations, be free of them. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Tony. A related question comes from first name. If everything is an illusion, what is real? And how do we know that it's real?
Everything is not an illusion. Everything is substantial and real. Our perception is illusory. The way we understand it according to our own properties is incorrect. It's a faulty perception. The physical doesn't actually exist. The physical is a projection of our intentions. A person needs to learn to locate, to know what intention is, and to locate that impulse within them, and that can only happen in relation with other people. You can be a person can be trained to perceive that. Humanity used to live in a way where we were always interacting in this way, and we weren't quite as coarse in terms of our egoism as we are today. There are things that exist in nature, the relationship with other people and certain types of relationships that educate the soul. What does that mean? It means that we stop seeing the separateness. We begin to see and feel through the use of higher senses. You can call them higher senses. They're just less egoistic. We feel that goodness that's doing good through the interaction of everything that we deal with in nature. We feel the intention behind everything that appears to our senses. We understand that it's there to develop us. We feel it that way. We're thankful for it. We embrace it. It brings pleasure to be learning and evolving. All of these things that we see before us are in actuality are only forces. They are intentions, either intentions that we feel as coming from the upper force, or they are intentions coming from us that do or don't allow us to feel the intention of the upper force. Intention is all of reality. Intention is bound together with our emotion, with our desire. We are a desire, but we misunderstand the thing that we desire. Desire is the motivating force, is the reality behind reality, and intention is a pure impulse, not bound or limited by time or place. It delivers the world that we see according to the quality of our intention. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Danny S. Gluck has two questions. Tony, can a person attain equivalence of form with Adam Harishon? If so, does this mean that one becomes equivalent to Adam Harishon in every respect? In other words, does one become Adam Harishon? And his follow-up question, and if one does become Adam Harishon, would it be correct to say that one has become Mashiach? How often does this occur in terms of years, ages, or eons? So can you achieve equivalence of form of the Adam Harishon, and how often can you do that?
You already are Adam Harishon. Adam Harishon is not, I don't know how you're conceiving of it. You've got terms confused. Adam Harishon is a structure within us. It's a higher structure of relationship with the Creator. And we're not trying to find equivalence of form with this. we are working towards equivalence of form with the intention of the Creator, which is bestowal, good that does good to the good and the bad. This is the equivalence of form that we're trying to reach in our own attitude, true attitude towards everything, towards the entire environment and everybody in it. Adama Rishon is not related to the Messiah. Messiah is a state of humanity in general when we come to the point of experiencing and recognition, even the beginning part of it, that we are actually all one soul, that we are all in relation to a divine force, and we are bound up with it, and we're actually carrying out the intention of the upper force, that there is no force other than the upper force, and we, as a single creature, recognize this and are pleased to be bonded and serving that upper force. So you've taken some Kabbalistic terms and you've got them still somewhat materialized, according to the perception of separation in your question. I hope that clarifies something.
The next question comes from GP asking, is there a Kabbalistic explanation for the sensation of deja vu?
I think I already answered that question, didn't I? Everything is already known by the thought of creation. The thought of creation is the intention, single impulse, single desire or word or thought, you can call it, it's an intention, in which summarizes the purpose of our lives, the meaning and purpose of our lives. That is, to create a creature and to fill that creature with complete fulfillment, to do good to the creature. In that impulse, there is no time. So it's not just let there be this thing that will eventually unfold and become this. It is the beginning and the end, the complete fulfillment, are in the intention itself. There is actually no separation between these two things. And that's why when the ego looks at such a thing, it sees an interrelatedness. Let's say, on the physical level, you call it this sort of quantum relationship between things that are not apparently not bound by time or place. They're only bound by relationship. One particle, spooky action at a distance, one particle is affected in a certain way, and its twin on the other side of the universe is reacting in exactly the same way. Why? Because there's no universe between those two things. The end is in the beginning of the thought. So everything is completely interrelated. If you glimpse something that seems to tell you, oh, this was before, your heart is just opening to the degree that it feels the timelessness and the eternal quality of the goodness that's coming towards us. It's always and only. It's the always and only feeling love you forever, feeling that was there in the original thought. The ego looks at things in slices and it says, this happened before. It was always happening, but we separated it as though they were two events or the same event happening twice. It's always only a single event, always happening. And that is the intention by the Creator to do good to the creatures. That's it. Mary?
Next question is from Matthew. He wants to know, is freedom living without the ego?
Not without it, but living above it. learning to live, to understand what its purpose is. That is, we're not a slave to it. We don't function like a robot run by the operating system determined by the ego. That we don't like it. It causes all of the pain that we feel. It's hard to recognize, but it's these kinds of actions from the ego that cause every problem in our life, in supposedly individually and certainly across the world. So, yeah, freedom would be not to be under the sway, on one hand. This is like the first part of a person's development is, on one hand, not to be the slave of the ego, but in the fulfillment of life's purpose, it's to be in equivalence of form with the Creator, which means that we recognize that everything that we feel, do, and think, even those egoistic things, only come from one place. They are the actions of the Creator. So the second part of it, of freedom, is to serve, is to serve this. Now that we begin to see that this bestowal actually is the real reality, it underlies everything that we do, and we want to be so-called a servant of this force. So it's actually to understand how the ego helps us rise to a place, a dynamic that works like the Creator. We learn to take only in order to be able to serve others, meaning to serve the will of the Creator, to be like the law of nature. The law of nature, the general law of nature, is to love your friend as yourself. How do you do that? You do it by not killing the ego, but by using it correctly in service of the upper force. Mary.
Hey, we have another question about the ego, Tony, from Yvette Cajero. How do we know when or if the ego is deceiving us to think our intention to give is true?
It doesn't matter. Don't worry about that. Forget about it. Just try. Because that question, that comes from the ego trying to trick you into feeling that bestowal is not real and that you'll never reach it. Don't listen to that voice. Just say, yes, I know. You're probably right, but I'm still pursuing this, not by your reason, but above your reason.
Next, we have another question about perception of reality from the Haiku Hub. Does anyone?
I'd like to go there.
Let's all go. The question is, does anyone I see exist, or are people mere projections as the rest of our reality? If so, are we each other's projections?
Love your friend as yourself. The people that we see it's not the people, it's the attitude, the relationship that we have towards whatever spiritual object, so to speak, is being presented to our perception. It's not the thing, it's how I feel about the thing that is what is being projected outward, as though it were the quality of that thing that we're seeing. So the impulse that we are misunderstanding as being a separated person standing in front of us, and all of the attitude that goes along with it, the judgment and so on, that is being dressed by the uncorrected aspect of my ego. It's showing me what the relationship is, because only intention and relationship is real. It is the thing that shapes reality for us. Our attitude, the degree of correctedness or uncorrectedness of the ego, that paints the picture that we see. It's not like science fiction, it's not like the thing is there or it isn't there. It's there, but the way that we perceive it is not right. Everything that we see is actually an impulse from the upper force, from the creator towards us. Now, I have an attitude towards it, which I paint as a separate person, and I can't feel the connection as though that were myself. Because what am I seeing? I'm seeing myself, my attitude, as though it were another person. What they are, objectively, we can't say. They're not anything different than the creator communicating with us and giving us an opportunity to see the attitude that we have and learn how to correct that and to exchange that attitude towards a connection based on love, care.
Thank you, Tony. The next question is from Kathy Buxton Gosnell. Her question is everything already in the mental realm?
I don't know what you mean by mental. If because it's not a term that we use, but if you're talking about inner, like is it already sort of imprinted in the heart, so to speak, heart and mind, already existing within us? Yes, because reality, according to Kabbalah, is holographic. Every piece has the whole in it, and meaning that it isn't really pieces. It's a whole limited by perception. Is that inside us? Are we inside of it? It doesn't matter. It really is all determined. How we will enjoy or suffer depends on our correction, our attitude towards that, wherever we suppose it is, being that there's no time or space, but only desire and intention. It's all, you can say it's all within you, but it's also you're within it, if you're getting my drift here.
Another question on reality. Adelina Santos is asking, so does the future already exist?
You could say that, but it wouldn't be real. Only because Kabbalah is not a philosophy. It's not like you can say you can separate past, present, and future in a theoretical way. We can't say about states that we go through, we can't talk about them if we haven't experienced them. Rather, we look at past, present, and future in terms of our sensation of fulfillment, the fulfillment of a desire. The present we feel as a desire being fulfilled now, as though we're tasting the fulfillment in whatever it is that we wish to be fulfilled. The lack of a desire is a state in which that we call future, because there's an anticipation of the spiritual fulfillment of our vessel. It's a need. This need is a state which we call future. We attribute it to linear, that one comes before the other, and the past is what we recall of a fulfillment that has now left the vessel. We call that past. Now, what was the question again? Now I've caused a problem for you.
Yeah, just jumping back to it. So does the future already exist?
Yeah. Okay, that's the answer to the question.
Okay, next question comes from giant on the path, dear friend of ours, John Colvard. Good morning, John.
Hi, John.
Okay, good morning, Tony, from John. If the will to receive is what we are born with and imprinted on us by the Creator, what is it going to take to change it?
We don't change it. We use it differently, and what it takes is experience. You are learning the methodology. You keep applying it, and because the whole purpose of your existence is for you to achieve this, you will achieve it. But you're not going. You will slow down, so to speak. We slow down our development if we are not putting in the effort in everything that's being presented to us, in digging into the text and trying to see what applies to my state. What could I use from this? Putting in effort into your relations with other people who are studying with you. That's it. We will be brought to this according to our desire. Desire is effort. It can't not happen. It can just be, let's call it delayed, slowed down. But if you're working, if you're always putting in the effort, you're going to reach it, because that's the whole purpose of your existence.
Okay, next I would like to share locations where our viewers are tuning in. It is really unbelievable. We've covered the entire globe today. Thank you, friends. We have viewers from Shiraz, Sydney, Australia, England, Tennessee in the US, from Romania, Utah, South Africa, Barcelona, Spain, Jersey City, New Jersey, Germany, Denmark, Netherlands, Jupiter, Florida, Russia, Portland, Oregon in the US, Michigan, Peru, Maryland, Key West, Florida, another New Jersey, Austin, Texas, Colorado, Fort Myers, Florida, Naples, Florida, North Carolina, Netherlands, Belgium, Illinois, Ireland, Hungary, Pittsburgh, PA in the US, Ohio, Costa Rica, Poughkeepsie, New York, Lagos, Nigeria, Aspen in Colorado, Sax, Spain, Urdu, Turkey, Toronto, Tunisia, Kingdom of Eswatini, TB, Ireland, and LA. Amazing. Thank you, everyone, for sharing those. If you still want to post your location, then I'll read more a little bit later. Okay, another question, Tony, about the ego from Crystal James. Tony, if I fast without food for 10 days and finally have no need for food or any desire, does that mean I have control over my ego?
No. You have control perhaps over your appetite, or you're killing it. This is not related in any way to the ego. That method of asceticism no longer works with humans at the level of the coarseness of egoism that we have now. It stopped being effective about 2,000 years ago, maybe even before that. It won't change anything in relation to our ego. In fact, when one feels they have some kind of mastery as a result of asceticism, it builds the ego. So the method for this generation is the positive involvement with the efforts to love your friend as yourself, and to make that the focus of your life. That's the only way to learn how to use the ego. Asceticism tries to escape suffering by reducing egoism down to a point. But it's against the purpose of life. The purpose of life is to expand the egoism and to rise even above that expansion. That the expanded ego serves the Creator more and more and more, reducing down to a point serves nobody.
Next question is from CF. Greetings from TB. One might often find that the pleasure and joy that comes with feeling it, as you alluded to, is fleeting. Does one have to constantly work towards attaining that same feeling?
Well, not the same feeling, but because that feeling will always change its presentation to us. And any feeling that we've had in the past will only limit our openness to the broader and truer reality. But the underlying sensation that we are in touch with something above the will to receive, that we are feeling this total interconnection to one degree or another. This is called the greatness of the Creator. We understand that this force creates, sustains, and guides everything, and we want connection with it, whatever it presents to us as its form. And when the heart responds that way, we're glad. But the whole trick to being able to grow our vessel so that it doesn't get filled up and that's it and it can't go any further than that is to not try to fill my own vessel. This is the whole point of the method of Kabbalah. It teaches a person how to receive the light. Kabbalah means reception, but it means how to receive and perceive the greater reality. It's not that I take it into my vessel and I become holy. It's that I receive it only in order to fulfill the desire of the Creator. It completely changes the meaning of the ego. It reveals its purpose as a great friend that helps us through the entire path. And by doing this, it reflects the light towards all of creation. We want to feel this, but the form in which we feel it keeps changing, and eventually what we want is not to feel it, but to give it. Then we're in equivalence of form with the upper force. And then there's no difference between my vessel and the entire reality. Think about that.
Tony, what happens to people who have no inclination to develop spiritually if we all have to get there? Question from Marie Claire Contino.
Eventually everybody does. Maybe not in this generation, maybe not in this lifetime, and maybe even in this lifetime, but not the same way. We are not the judges of how nature is working throughout all its levels, through society and people, and through animals and through plants and everything that's there. When we come to a state ourselves, let me put it this way. Since the single soul, the single creature that was created, which is the intention called the will to receive, exists in whole, in every apparent part, that means that if any one part, meaning you, develops to the point where it is in touch with the whole and acting like the whole, then the entire generation, because we are only one soul, has to be lifted by nature back to its root. If you do it, everything rises. We need help from others. We need to be in relation with others taking on this work. Eventually, a part of the methodology is to work in a group of 10 people, which reflect the 10 sephirot, which is the fractal of reality. You work with others so that you can see this thing occurring, that what is happening in you is actually the shared field between these people, which means that it is the single soul that was created. And so when a person rises according to the quality of the creator, all of reality, all of the generation, meaning that single soul rises with you. So that's what happens to everybody.
Thank you, Tony. Dragon Milanovic has a related question regarding having friends. Has a creator created us because he wants friends?
No. The creator has no, that force has no thought of itself. It is the good that does good without a thought of the self. It is a sovereign force that emanates good. It has no need. We only speak about it sometimes in that way in text because it's impossible from the egoistic mind, the material mind, to grasp that there could be such a thing. It's inconceivable until little by little, degree by degree, one comes to see the eternality and perfection of this force, which is completely outwardly emanates good towards everything. No, it has no need, but we speak about it in the language that we can understand, which is barely understanding anything except to understand we have a desire to be close. That's why we're trying to understand. Mary?
Hey, from Facebook, Michael Erdman. How might the advance of Kabbalah influence the apparent trends of our emerging capitalism, technocracy, and visioneering coming forth?
Well, those are all just forces of nature. They are undergoing enormous change because there's a great deal of light being concentrated now. It's being revealed. And the way that it's in the form of encouragement from nature, and it's undermining we're letting go of old ways of seeing without having any grasp onto the new way of seeing and perceiving and building, which is altruistic, completely and totally altruistic, like the upper force, which is completely interconnected. But we don't understand interconnection. We think of interconnection through our egoistic senses. So we think that it's by technology. We think that it's as a result of economic relationships and geopolitical movements and all that. All our institutions are kind of crumbling from the inside because they're based on the egoistic principle that has evolved us up until this point. That principle does not function anymore. We've evolved beyond it, can't use it. It's a dead end already. What we don't see is how do we grip onto the force that is now we're going to recognize as the organizing force of reality, which is bestowal, which is love your friend as yourself. A world arranged, and this is the principle behind Kabbalah, a world arranged on love your friend as yourself will have very, very different institutions. It'll still use all of those things. I mean, obviously these are media for relationship. Money is a medium for trust. Educational systems are ways of nature being able to imbue new states on us, and so on. A lot of these will have similar macro structures, but what they will be about the qualities that Kabbalah is describing as being behind reality. And we are already being shaped in that direction, is what I'm trying to say. But in order to understand, to get our bearings of where we are, the science and the wisdom of Kabbalah is extremely useful for us understanding who we are, where we are, what's happening, and where we're going. Because we can't go any place that is opposed to nature. Nature always evolves everything according to its imperative. But its imperative is hidden from us because our society for at least more than 2,000 years, so let's say 2,600 years or something like that, from the destruction of the first temple, fell into a completely materialistic way of perceiving. So Kabbalah can inform us what the intent or the principle of evolution behind nature actually is, what it's related to, and it will help us adjust.
Hey, thank you, Tony. Next question is from Zaid Hamrouni. Should we aim to transform the desire to receive into desire to bestow in this life to spiritually ascend? Should we still have some selfish goals like a better job or a better car?
You can desire anything you want. That's not an issue. Kabbalah doesn't deal with the desire, it deals with the intention behind the desire. So that's why one of its principles is necessity. Different people need different things in order to have the fuel to begin to develop themselves, to learn from the laws of nature, from Kabbalah, how to evolve. And necessity is different for different people. There's nothing, that's one thing. The other thing is that desires don't matter. The intention, why you want it, is it just for myself, or is it to help me so that I can give? Will I receive this in order to fulfill someone else's desire? All that. It really, Kabbalah deals with the spiritual desire, not the material desires. So if you like to eat a lot, or you want a beautiful car and you want a great job with it, that's got nothing to do with your spiritual development. Don't worry about it. Enjoy. But when it comes to spiritual desires, in a sort of fixed framework and according to a specific methodology, that's where we start to make discernments, and work towards working above that type of intention. But in your daily life, it's not spiritual.
Thank you, Tony. Clara Jansen has a related question. Does that emptiness we feel within us as a will to receive and can't fill it through the things in this world represent a vessel of bestowal?
That's complicated. Please read it again.
Sure. Does that emptiness we feel within us as a will to receive and can't fill it through the things in this world represent a vessel of bestowal?
But you see, yeah, that's why it's complicated. Yes, there's a desire that we have that is actually not egoistic, but we think it is because we think all desires are, that anything we feel can be fulfilled materially. But there is another kind of essential desire, which I spoke about at the beginning of the broadcast, which is that we need to know what our Creator. We need to know the root of our soul. There's no answer for that in this world. That is not a desire that can be fulfilled in this world. It is the desire. It is the only vessel that can be filled with light. All the other things don't matter. They're neither here nor there. But it's that, yes, it's that desire that has no answer in this world that begins to connect us with where reality actually exists, what it's really made out of. And it's a kind of, that thing becomes a compass guiding us more and more towards what is real, and being willing to develop ourselves along the lines that the upper force wants to develop us. We become willing, and we begin to hear and feel according to that intention, and not to the other ones that are always chattering in our heart and in our head.
Hey, thank you, Tony. Not quite time for the announcement, just to give friends a heads up who are viewing. We do have a live Q&A session following this session on Zoom. It's not broadcast on Facebook or YouTube, and you'll be able to ask Tony questions. You can go on camera, you can ask follow-up questions. It's really a very special opportunity. You can become a KabU member right now in the next 10 minutes so that you would be able to join that session. And our tech team will post the link in the chat if you want to join KabU Connect, and you'll be able to join this very special session coming up in 10 minutes. I don't know if you want to add anything, Tony, before I continue with questions.
I do want to mention that we are having an event in May. It's a retreat, and it's happening in Holland. And this retreat happens in a beautiful place in the countryside where we work like the ancient Kabbalists. We work together. We sort of live together for 3 days, and those 3 days are filled with very interesting lessons, practical work in Kabbalah, being able to apply the things that we're learning, and the amount of change that happens in a person in this kind of situation compared to just regular study is enormous. The rate of development and the grasp of the practical aspects of Kabbalah, you can see it. You're seeing it happening. You're seeing a kind of a world, in a sense, that is organized along the laws of nature. And it's beautiful, it's exciting, it's very moving. And it's available to anybody, really. I mean, if you're a student, you're going to benefit a great deal from it. But it's not done at such a level that if you're new and you're curious and you want to know what Kabbalah really is, it's done at a level in which you can understand it, you can use it, you can try it, and you would truly see what's going on. So I'm sure that our friends are going to post the link so that you can take a look at the website, see if that's for you. And we'll be talking about it some more, so maybe in another broadcast a little bit more fully, but that's what I've got to say for now.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tony. Next question is from Breeze Heart. Yehuda Ashlag states that you will always be defeated by the ego and then ask for help from the Creator. Seems to me that's all you need.
It's all about need. And the whole point of making the effort and realizing that, no, that's my nature. That's what I am. I am the will to receive. The only thing that was created was the will to receive. That means that I can't lift myself up by myself. And if the thing that I want most of all is the relationship with the Creator, by changing my nature to be like the upper force, I have nothing to rely on except the one who created me. But I won't ask, and the Creator will not be a reality to me unless I need from the bottom of my heart. What will build that need? It will be that I want something and I can't have it, at least not out of my own strength. Now try again. Oh, I can figure this out. Oh, I can not eat. Oh, I can not want for myself. Same thing. No, you can't. You discover over and over again. On one hand, it's disappointing, and on the other hand, a need is developing and becoming larger and larger and larger and larger until we turn to the only place where there is any help, and to the only reality that exists. And now we're actually in communication with the Creator. It's all you need, but it's not simple. You know, it's there are many aspects to it, and it takes time, and a person has to orbit around this need, and it has to be, you have to try in every way possible to do this yourself. So that's why everything is arranged in the methodology to speed this up, to give us an environment in which that's all that we're doing with the people that we're doing it with. And that means the more constant it is, the greater the growth of that desire, the more we become aware that not only are we just a single soul, but there is nothing else but the force of the Creator. And if we are trying to depend on anything else, we're depending on something that doesn't exist. You know, so eventually what we come to see is we are face to face with the Creator. We are. But we're just blinded. It requires this work specifically on this issue and with others. And eventually there is a revelation of where we are, the beautiful place that we actually are. Mary.
Thank you, Tony. Just got a message that the link for the retreat isn't working on YouTube. Our tech team is working to fix that. So please be patient. The next question, a lot of questions on reality today. Here's another one from Giselle Leva. Hi, Tony. When humanity reaches the level of desire to bestow beyond the level of our world, would this world, as a projection of the broken soul, end existing as such, the end of nature?
No, but where we would perceive ourselves as being would be different. That's not the world we will see. Even though it could be seen that way, if we remained in our ego, we would see that world. But as we evolve above it, we begin to see a truer representation of reality. One closer. What is the ultimate representation of reality? It is the Creator. It's the force that created us. And the more we become like it, the more we see the way that it sees. How does it see? It's somewhere along the lines of, not that I'm speaking from the Creator's point of view, but we know that it's good that does good to every part without a thought for itself. That's the world that we would see. What would its visual appearance be like? I don't know, but I know what the heart might be like. And it's the heart that either is concealed or revealed. This is where our real sight is. So it doesn't, it's not the end of it, but it's the end of having to perceive that way.
Hey, right before the next question, a few friends shared their location, so I'll just read those few. Ethiopia, Texas, Montreal, France, and Michigan. And thank you for sharing those. Next question from Lauren B. Can you explain the difference between Mitzvah and Torah?
Well, Torah means guidance. It's guidance by the light. Mitzvah are the actions of the light, which we are trying to learn. We know the Creator by His acts, not by His essence. We can't touch that. We can't get close to it at all, because we were created opposite to that quality. And in order to fulfill our lives, our existence, we don't have to come to that at all. That's just the ego thinks that it has to have that. So these are the Creator's actions are mitzvot. They are corrections on aspects of the ego. And when we do those inner corrections, we are we are doing the act, the commandment of the Creator. We are transforming our resistance into aligning with His command and fulfilling and being an agent of the Creator's will. So one means the light is guiding us. All of nature is arranged in order for this to happen, and we respond by taking on the correction of the ego, or rising above the ego in order to inwardly have the same attitude as the Creator does. And with that, we'll end. Thank you very much for the great questions. You kept me on my toes, and I like being up on my toes.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick announcements. If you're joining the Zoom session, we'll see you on the other side right after the announcements. You can join KabU if you're not already a KabU member. We invite you to join. You'll gain access to several Kabbalah courses from beginners to advanced. You'll be part of the world's largest Kabbalah community, the ability to ask questions in the student forum, so you can ask instructors questions anytime. You get access to KabU exclusive weekly newsletter and access to the next Kabbalah Revealed course with Tony starting on May 24th. You can also support KabU, of course, by becoming a member, or you can make a donation. And we always appreciate that because we have volunteers that run the broadcast. We have a whole team behind the scenes that are absolutely amazing, and they devote a lot of time to bring you these amazing live Q&As. Tony, great to be back with you, and I'll be with you on the other side.
Hey, you did an amazing job. Mary had to replace somebody and do 2 jobs, and they're really, really, really complicated, and you did smooth like butter. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tony.